We are going up.
We are going up. Sky Bet League 2 playoff winner 2023. That is about as trailer trash as I would expect it to be for Carlisle United. For those listeners not watching at twitch.tv/electric_honk, Salmon's wearing a big blue t-shirt saying we are going up with a massive, badly printed on Carlisle United badge on it. Welcome to Twatter.
You just say it.
He's written Twatter hanging by a thread. That is not the title of this podcast. Right. Welcome to the Electric Honk podcast. Twitter hanging by a thread, episode number 26. Salmon, how are you doing?
I'm doing very well, thank you. How are you doing?
Good stuff. I'm doing all right. Do we introduce ourselves now? Or
it's probably worth mentioning that I am Andrew Salmon, Coronation Street Extra, right, just in case no one's heard that before.
Good, yeah, very good. I am Machine Daena, and I am a Threads expert this week.
Oh, nice.
We have got a fun-packed podcast today, Salmon. You want to give them the rundown?
Stuff. We've had a build-up of material, and all of it is coming to a head today, so it's going to be a bumper episode, but we will start off with the French riots, because that's quite an interesting subject. Probably a little bit heavy, but so we won't hang around too long.
And it does lead nicely onto
some other animal topics.
We decided we're going to try and link every single topic this week
speaking of
might get very tenuous.
Yeah, well, we'll give it a go, won't we?
And why are we doing that, Salmon?
I don't know why are we doing
to
it.
Thread it all together.
Oh, nice.
Yes. Hello.
Let's thread this podcast together very nicely. All right, so we're going to talk about the Black Mirror new season that's come out as well. Twitter and the Threads thing, and Zuckerberg versus Musk. Goose news like normal, headliner like normal, some other interesting bits, and we'll talk a bit of football and sports and stuff at the end as well. It's worth listening and hanging around for the whole episode.
Go live every 2 weeks on twitch.tv/electric_honk. So we're live there, but then we edit it into a YouTube video, and then it goes live. Not live, it just gets uploaded as an MP3. We print some CD-ROMs and pass them out to the public.
Yeah, I've got some cassettes as well. Yeah. I flogged them down a local pub as well.
Yeah, okay.
10p
extra.
Well, that reminds me, we've got a new jingle.
We do have a new jingle
for the headliner, so that's coming up.
We've got so professional.
2 jingles now for this.
Yeah. And we've got another couple in the making, haven't we? We've planned them out.
Yeah.
It might be a couple of years before we roll them out.
Exactly, yeah. We've got the ball rolling, haven't we?
Speaking of rolling balls, the French have been rolling burnt tyres down the street.
Nice, very good. They have. What sparked it off was the shooting of, how old was he? Like 17 or something?
Young guy, yeah.
Yeah.
He was in his car. It was quite a nice car. It was like an Audi or something like that, wasn't it?
Yeah. It's quite easy to jump to conclusions and say he was probably some sort of gangster criminal, like troubled youth.
Most likely was. I mean, if he's 18 and driving around in a car like that.
Exactly. He's not just gone to uni and got a middle class job, has he? And bought that car. Yeah. So the police stopped him. Have you seen the video of it?
I've seen the video, yeah.
So he starts to drive away, doesn't he? Not fast, but not slow either. It's not like he's just let his foot off the brake. He's accelerating, isn't he?
Oh, he's trying to get away without doubt.
The policeman's reaction is just to pull the trigger. It's a pretty dark subject when you focus just on that bit. Like, how can you be a policeman policing society and your gut reaction when somebody starts driving away is to shoot them in the chest?
Yeah.
Like, that's pretty bad, isn't it?
Fucking wild, isn't it? Thing is, like, he's made that decision in a split second, and he will have known it was a bad decision, a stupid fucking decision, but he's just gone, you know what? I'm arrogant enough to just do it anyway and drive off.
Yeah.
And it is arrogant to do that. I mean, like, he's been stopped for a reason. It is. But no one deserves to get shot for that.
I mean, that's the whole point in the justice system, isn't it? For it to be like prosecuted and found your actions have consequences, but not to this extent. Like, you shouldn't just be shot by a police officer on a whim.
Do you think as he was driving off, he went, yo, 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 yo?
Well, he was Algerian, wasn't he?
Oh, shit.
Which is basically French. They all speak French. So I think they were all making that noise just casually, as they do.
Just walking along the street,
French,
eating garlic and making that noise. I did see, actually, there is a baguette bag that you can get for baguettes. And it is a baguette.
Yeah, I've seen them.
Shaped bag with baguette print on the outside. And you can unzip it and put a baguette in it.
It's completely normal. I
thought it was brilliant.
Yeah, it's amazing.
It's actually normal in France.
Yeah.
Oh, right.
Get
I thought it was
bags.
like a troll bag. The French, I've always said this, they do it right in there. I mean, when they don't like something, they go to the streets, don't they? And it makes a difference.
They're actually good at protesting the right way as well. Like, not all protests end up like this one where they're trashing all of the shops and looting everything. I think the issue with this one is because it's like an ethnic minority that's been shot instantly, triggers a whole load more of society's problems.
I really wish the British public would be a little bit more like that. I feel like the shit that's going on in the UK at the moment, like the corruption and the, like rule breaking of your own rules, and all of that, like this particular flavour of French riot. The French are giving the French a bad name for the French. Generally speaking, you're right. They give a pretty good name for the French. They get places. They do things. They don't just recklessly destroy the whole of Paris or France.
I actually heard there's some parts of Marseille which we don't have in this country. Right? Some parts of Marseille where
we don't have parts of Marseille in the UK
that are so violent and dangerous that the residents have got roadblocks that the police would never ever dream of going past.
Wow.
There's that much crime and gun violence and everything. Like they've got like tower blocks with like stacks of AK-47s all hidden in the staircases and stuff like that. And the police just accept that these places exist and just will not go anywhere near it.
You sort of expect that from like Uzbekistan or whatever.
Uzbekistan, they're famous.
but not from France.
I know, yeah.
Which is kind of wild, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Speaking of AK-47s.
Oh, no. This is the link. The animals, the zoos have been released, haven't they?
Yes, they have.
There's footage of elephants and lions and ostriches all running around the streets of Paris.
Rhinoceroses, yeah, man.
And speaking of animals roaming around, wild animals. Here we go. That's the first one ticked off. So I've got 2 new cats. One's a mother cat and one's a kitten. The kitten is absolutely nuts. Like she spends half the day running around the house, climbing up and down the curtains, etc. And she's been allowed outside for the first time because you need a couple of weeks for them to settle in at home, learn that that's a place to live. She's now bringing back dead birds.
Oh shit.
And
the kitten one.
Yeah.
Oh wow. So she's a good hunter.
Yeah. One morning I came down, I'd heard her through the night going absolutely nuts running around the house, but I was half asleep and I was like, what an annoying kitten. And I thought she was just playing and I left her to it. Got up in the morning, there were feathers, blood and guts everywhere.
Oh my God.
And I was like, oh, this is disgusting. And I spent ages cleaning up and I never actually found the carcass, the bones, the beak, the feet. Never found it.
So
I think she's eating it whole. So I was Googling like, do cats eat birds whole? And and it turns out like little fledglings, like I reckon this one was, sometimes they fall out of the nest or they're just learning to fly or something. Right. I reckon she caught one of them and I think they can eat them whole. So anyway, that reminded me, the fact that I was like for days wondering, is there a dead bird somewhere in this house? And I was looking in every little corner.
I love the idea that the kitten's like, you know what, I'm not going to eat this. I'm going to hide it somewhere that it'll never find
exactly.
it.
Because I was like, aren't cats supposed to leave it somewhere prominent as like a present for you or something? I was like, not this kitten, no, she's absolutely nuts. But then it reminded me of a Paul Gascoigne story when he was at Rangers. He started off.
I know this.
Do you know this with the fish?
This, yeah. Tell it anyway for the listeners.
So he started off hiding a fish in people's cars, but he'd leave it somewhere fairly obvious, like in the boot or something like that, a rotting fish, and they'd be like, oh, what's that smell? And then he'd go look for it and find a fish. And then he upped it a little bit and he'd hide a second fish that was like much harder place to find, like in the sort of bits behind the door or something like that. And then so they'd think that they found the fish, the rotting fish, and remove it, and the smell would still remain. It just reminded me of that with the kitten, like leaving his dead
body. Paul Gascoigne, what an absolute legend, man.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't help but feel the guy's going to be dead in a few years just because he's drunk so much, doesn't look after himself. But it's a total shame because the guy's got a brilliant sense of humour. We should invite him onto the podcast.
We should, yeah. And actually, speaking of being dead.
Hey! Speaking of being dead. That's about as smooth as it gets.
I know,
Hey, it's only down from there.
I wanted to tell you about this thing called the monkey torture ring. Good play on words because it sounds like torturing, but it's all, what the headline is,
it's actually torturing.
A ring, like of people. The BBC actually did an undercover investigation and found this and raised it with the FBI and the British police. They've found hundreds of customers worldwide, but mainly in the US and the UK, and they've been found that they're paying Indonesians to have these baby long-tailed macaques, like these nice looking little monkey things.
Monkeys, yeah.
They would auction for levels of torture. So you would bid maybe like £5,000 for them to cut off every finger of the monkey or something. And then somebody would outbid you and say, no, I want you to slit its neck. So they were bidding for it. And then obviously they'd be killed at the end of the video. And so then the top bidder, their video would be made and it would be sent around the torture ring and people would watch it for their
Where
enjoyment.
was this happening? Indonesia?
Indonesians were carrying it out, but the funding was coming from UK and US customers.
Hell. What's that project? Squid Games, where they're all sat at the end and they're all sat in their sort of high castle kind of watching the games happen and all the people getting killed. And they're just like the super rich that are almost like betting on what's going on. It reminded me of that.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's just like almost like at the expense of any kind of humanity, there's a tiny bit of entertainment that they see the value in, or somebody wants to pay them.
There was one guy who is called Mike McCartney, and he was actually happy to give an interview to the BBC. And his nickname it was going around Telegram, these videos, and his nickname was the Torture King. And in his interview with the BBC, he's got this massive flag, Vote Trump 2024. And you just think, of course he's a Trump voter. And he was actually running like several of these Telegram groups.
I mean, it's kind of wild, isn't it? It's like something out of a movie, that.
Yeah.
It's just mental that those things even happen. I don't know if there's any amount of money you could give me to do something like that, let alone be involved in it as some sort of spectator or funder.
Yeah.
Like, if you gave me £1 million, for example, to cut off some monkey's fingers, I couldn't and wouldn't do it.
Well, we'll test that when I win the lottery. I'll buy a baby monkey and a suitcase of cash.
I think you'll outbid me just so that I don't do it.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's true. Well, speaking of dark things.
Oh, yeah, Black Mirror. I was hoping to do that bit.
Sorry, mate.
Speaking of dark things, Black Mirror has been released, hasn't it? Season 6, there are 6 episodes. I have to say, not massively impressed. I mean, if you compare this Black Mirror season to Black Mirror previous seasons or Black Mirror in general, they're not as good. As a standalone piece of work, though, and each episode in the season's still pretty good, and that's only because the standard of Black Mirror episodes is so high.
I like the first episode, actually. Salma Hayek,
Yeah.
What was it called, that one? Journey's Awful.
Can I just say, I got bullied over this. Someone sent, there's this picture of me when I'm sure we've told this anecdote on the podcast before. We went to some birthday party. We also used to celebrate every year 4 or 5 different birthday parties. We'd all go and get pissed in a different city. And this one was Newcastle, and it was some like Wet and Wild, crappy, run-down old, like, water park in Newcastle.
I actually wasn't there for this one.
Was you not?
No, but I still got the photo.
Evidence, haven't you? And everyone was like, okay, we'll all wear Speedos because it'll be funny to wear Speedos to this horrible, disgusting Wet and Wild. So I turned up with Speedos and nobody else did. So I'm stood there in fucking Speedos.
And there's a great photo of you stood by the lockers.
Yeah, and
I mean, hips,
and I've just got like enough fat to think, oh, he's out of shape, but enough muscle to think he probably used to be in shape.
He hasn't stopped wearing his Speedos yet.
Yeah. And this photo just won't go away.
Saved in my favourites.
Someone decided to make a picture of that with the words "Daena is awful."
Yeah.
As a play on words. And if you know this episode on Black Mirror, it's like almost like Inception for like Netflix episodes.
Yeah, it was really good, actually. That was good.
It was pretty good. I like the concept, but as my wife said, and I agree with her, the execution of it wasn't great because it was a bit cheesy.
Yeah, the ending didn't really wrap it up as well as I was hoping for.
Yeah. Speaking of plot twists, we now have Top Shelf.
Oh, nice.
Top Shelf plot twist? Is that speaking of?
You've got a bottle of plot twist.
Plop twist.
Plop twist.
Liquid does sometimes go plop.
Speaking of plops, were we not going to cover Caca?
Oh yes, yes. Speaking of plops, yeah, okay, right, yeah. We should cover this. It was my daughter's 1-year birthday at the weekend. Evie was 1. Salmon's got a little son. And he's starting to get a bit more aware of what's going on now, and he knows when he's having poos, right?
He's broken the back of potty training. Like, he knows what he's doing pretty much. But he's still not 100% sure when a number 2 is about to come out. You know, he can feel it, but he's not 100% sure that it's due. So we have a lot of false alarms. Just like, oh, it's coming. And then so we run to the potty and nothing comes out.
Shoots back up, right?
Yeah. On Evie's first birthday, he kind of almost stole the limelight a little bit by every 2 minutes shouting, Caca, come in, Caca.
So his word for having a poo is Caca.
Yeah.
Which obviously,
I think that's the half French side of him.
90s footballer.
Yeah.
90s footballer. But my lasting memory is him just running through the middle of everyone, holding his bum, going, Caca, Caca, and then coming back 1 minute later like, oh, false alarm.
Nothing. We were taking it in turns to run to the toilet with him, and then at one point my girlfriend seemed to be missing for quite a while, and so was my son. And then they came back down about 10-15 minutes later, and it turned out there'd been a big explosion, and it'd gone pretty much everywhere and required a shower to tidy it up. So
my missus came down a few hours later, not minutes, hours later, and she was like, I think someone did a shit in the house. I was like, I think it was Caca.
You must have used some air freshener to get rid of the smell.
Yeah, we do store it on the top shelf.
Oh, the top shelf.
Top shelf.
Oh, nice.
We've got a new format for this, haven't we?
We felt like we were maybe dragging out the descriptions of these drinks a little bit too much, so we are time restricting ourselves. Describe the drink and the bottle. Well, maybe not the taste, but at least the bottle and what it looks like in 60 seconds, and then we'll taste.
This is actually a very small bottle. I got this in Lanzarote. This is a small bottle of Leche de Cabra, which is a goat's milk liqueur from the island of the Canaries, because I went to Lanzarote. If I was to describe it, it's a small clear bottle with black label on it and black kind of like top on it. There's not very much in it. It's kind of 100 ml actually in total, 22% volume, and it's got a picture of a goat on it. It does look like a bottle of cum. And now we're going to taste it.
I'll just pick you up on your pronunciation. It's leche if it's Spanish milk.
Leche de Cabra.
Leche de Cabra.
Okay.
Yeah, that was in 40 seconds. Good effort.
This has been sat there for 2 months.
Right. So it probably will taste like cum as well.
Probably tastes like caca. There's a website, Bernardos.org.
Isn't that a charity, Dr. Bernardo's?
No, Bernardos.org.
No, it's not, mate.
There's really not much to it. The label's like...
I don't understand how it's alcoholic. What's in it? Goat milk.
Crema de liqueur. So it must have some sort of... Yeah. It looks a lot like cum. We're about to drink a shot of goat's cum.
This is like that... I'm a celebrity, get me out of here.
Yeah. This week on I'm a Celebrity, you're going to drink a shot of goat's cum. Oh man, it's dribbled down the side of the glass. Cheers, mate.
Cheers.
Ooh, it's actually all right. I love the taste of cum.
I couldn't help but think of that as I was drinking it. It's so rank.
Woo!
It's a little bit fizzy, isn't it? You think?
Yeah, it's got a bit of a zing to it. So yeah, that was Leche de Cabra.
Just try not to think of cum when you're having it, because it does affect the flavour a little bit.
It looks like it, and it sort of tastes a little bit like it. $2 million right now in cash, but the catch is you can never shit in a toilet ever again.
Okay. So what's the alternative? Like, is a potty allowed?
Get creative. You're not allowed to shit in a toilet ever again.
Yeah,
bags.
You can get adult nappies. You can get...
$2 million quid, you just wear nappies forever. You just put the
change it up
for a shit. Change it up. Jazz it up.
If you're working at home, you just do it in a potty or in a plastic bag or something.
I think a potty's cheating. That's basically a toilet.
Okay, yeah, maybe a plastic bag or something.
Plastic bag.
Like a doggy bag or something. Just
hand it out at parties.
Yeah. For £2 million? Yeah, because
for the rest of your life. You might live for another 70 years.
I don't plan on living that long. But you could afford somebody to just come and clean up your poo bags, couldn't you?
Are you planning on dying of dysentery?
Yeah. I'm going to say no.
Really?
But I wouldn't rule it out.
I wouldn't rule it out.
I'll say no if you ask me right now, but if you give me a bit more time to think about it, I might convince myself to go yes. How about you?
I think I'd have to take it. I'm taking the money all day.
And what's your plans for pooing?
I'll find a system.
Yeah. Have you got any ideas of what that system might be?
Maybe utilising the recycling. Just putting poo in the recycling in different containers.
No, not recycle it though after that.
Well, doesn't matter, does it? Biodegradable.
You could use it as compost, I suppose, couldn't you?
I suppose you could, yeah. Middle of the night, just go. Yeah. I mean, it makes winters a little bit fun.
Yeah.
A bit more fun.
Solid frozen shits in your compost bin.
Yeah, cacas. Speaking of shit platforms.
Yes. Social media going to
Twitter
shit.
Twitter is under fire for their rate limiting. Elon Musk has basically come out and said, we're going to limit the amount of tweets that you can see. Not that you can do, that you can tweet out, but the number that you can see.
Does that just mean if you're sat on Twitter all day scrolling through?
It'll stop you. You'll say, okay, you've reached your limit. You can't use Twitter anymore.
For 24 hours or?
I think it's 24 hours, yeah. And it basically, there's been uproar about this. Obviously there has, because there's a lot of people that just scroll, and that's part of the fun of Twitter. But if your job, for example, is to scrape the news on Twitter, it's actually quite fundamental to what you're doing, your day job. There's been uproar about this, and it was quite a low cap as well. People were hitting it quite quickly. And it's like the first social media that's being basically encouraging stopping using the platform.
Right.
But not for good reason. It wasn't like, oh, we want you to be healthy, don't use this platform too much. It was like, I'll read out the actual quote. To address extreme levels of data scraping and system manipulation, we've applied the following temporary limits. Verified accounts limited to reading 6,000 posts a day, unverified accounts 600 posts a day, and new unverified accounts 300 a day. So I almost feel like he's basically incentivizing people to pay, and maybe it's some sort of test to try that.
Yeah.
But really, it's had the opposite effect. People have just really caca'd all over Twitter.
Yeah.
Mark Zuckerberg, he's brought out Threads. So people were absolutely livid with Twitter for doing this. Elon Musk shot himself in the legs, and Mark Zuckerberg's come out and said, oh, here we go, here's Threads. It's an Instagram-linked product where you can share images, basic video, but it's mainly text-based.
Okay. And does it look exactly like Twitter?
No, it's more simplistic and in Zuckerberg's words, friendlier.
Okay.
And I mean, actually read up on this a little bit. Zuckerberg's come out and said Twitter haven't really smashed it. He said that there's probably room for a platform that has 1 billion plus users that is text based, which is what Twitter is. I think Twitter's got something like 400 or 500 million.
Okay,
but it's renowned for having a lot of bots.
Yeah,
so
definitely.
Quite a lot of those are bots, basically. So the true figure is probably a lot less than a few 100 million, whereas Facebook's got like 2 billion users.
Yeah.
Now, one of the neat things about it, I did join earlier today and set up the account, is it links to your Instagram. So instantly you've got friends, instantly you've got followers, instantly you've got people that you follow. Yes. I don't think it's a prerequisite to having it.
Okay.
But I don't think you can join it on desktop. It's literally a mobile-only thing at the moment. And it feels like they've rushed it out a little bit because there's a lot of stuff you can't do. For instance, have 2 accounts.
Right.
Like if you've got multiple brands, for example.
What I hope they would do is stop people being able to make false accounts or bot accounts. You know, I really wish, because I imagine, well, I don't know about Instagram, but I guess there's not as many like false or bot accounts on Instagram as there are on Twitter. So I would hope that if they keep that same level of whatever it is they've done to reduce the amount of bots, if they keep that with Threads as well, I think that'll be a big plus.
It looks a lot nicer, cleaner, friendlier. He's right there. And Zuckerberg has said they will win if they keep it a friendly platform. I don't think it's really referring to like the culture of it being friendly. I think he's purely talking about user experience. Look and feel, yeah. Let's talk some numbers. Within 4 hours, they had 5 million users on there. Within 7 hours, they had 10 million. Been less than 24 hours. And I just checked lately, and it was 30 million already, which makes it the fastest growing application ever.
Wow.
So
that's pretty impressive. I'll be interested to see what sort of conversations are heavy on, like most popular on there, because Twitter's very often used for politics and political discussion and latest news and stuff. And I wonder if Threads being linked to Instagram will make it a bit more, look how great my lifestyle is, you should be like me sort of thing, you know. I'd be interested to see what direction the sort of conversations go in Threads.
Speaking of Mark Zuckerberg and Elon Musk.
Yeah.
I mean, that's about as tenuous as it gets, isn't it? They are going to fight. They're literally going to have a fucking
Surely
fight.
not.
They're going to fight.
Not.
Have you read this?
I mean, I saw the headline, but it's not going to happen, is it?
Yeah.
And if it is, it's going to be staged. And
they're both training for it.
Yeah, I'll believe it when I see it.
We've covered the Zuckerberg stuff, right? You know about that.
His training, like his jiu-jitsu and his running with weights on and the Murph challenge or whatever that was. Yeah, he's a beast, isn't he?
Pod.
Yeah.
Mark Zuckerberg is already in pretty good shape, and he's pretty good at jiu-jitsu and so on and so forth, whereas Elon Musk is very not in shape.
Dad bod. Yeah.
Dad bod, reigns supreme. But he is a lot taller and he weighs a lot more, so he's got like the reach advantage, the height advantage, and the weight advantage.
Gone for the Tyson Fury approach.
Yeah. The thing that I found curious is Elon Musk tweeted last week that the fight could potentially happen at the Colosseum in Italy. I mean
that would be amazing, but I just don't think it's going to happen. I don't think it is.
What a time to be alive.
I know, yeah.
He's already done training sessions with Leche, who is the one. I think he gets nearly as many views as we get on our podcast.
Right, millions.
Lex Friedman.
Yeah, I would probably watch it, but I'm annoyed at myself that I would watch it. You know,
I would like for us to go like when it's on, for us to get fucking hammered and watch it.
Go watch it
really drunk.
in Rome.
Yeah. Oh my God.
And scribble our name on the wall of the Colosseum. Did you see that British guy that did that?
Really?
A British guy had been on holiday and he scratched his name into the wall of the Colosseum. And because he'd written his name, they managed to track him down and prosecute him for it.
Was it that Mizzy or whatever he's called?
No, it wasn't him. No, it's just some British resident and his girlfriend. And he wrote both of their names on and been done. So going on to Twitter and Threads and stuff, quite often see NFTs being marketed on there, don't you?
Yeah, you do.
Well, speaking of NFTs, well, that brings me on to
can we have a jingle, please?
onto the Goose News.
Goose News.
Jingle of the Year award.
Dmitri Cherniak's The Goose NFT sells at Sotheby's auction for $6.2 million. Dmitri Cherniak, his series of pictures called ringers are all made by an algorithm according to a set of parameters defined by the artist. Each ringer is unique, and it just so happens that ringer number 879 looks kind of like a yellow-billed bird, earning it the nickname The Goose. On the 15th of June 2023, the beloved artwork went to auction at Sotheby's as part of a highly anticipated dedicated sale of the Grails collection. 3 collectors traded offers back and forth and several minutes in a bidding battle that ultimately saw the work sell for $6.2 million.
Is that one NFT?
One NFT that looks a bit like a goose.
Only a bit like a goose.
Yeah.
Not even obviously.
It just
like
resembles a bit of a goose.
Abstract goose.
Yeah, created by an algorithm.
This isn't abstract goose news, mate. This is goose news. This is nailed on goose.
It's called
that is a goose.
It is called The Goose.
Okay.
So yeah, this artist has got an algorithm that makes different paintings. Number 879 looked a bit like a goose. It got really popular and it sold for $6.2 million.
Yeah, there's been reports of some of these NFTs that were sold a couple of years ago for millions that are going for like a few thousand now. They've dropped in value so much. I suspect that one will go up in value.
You think?
Yeah, 100%.
I might buy it if I win the lottery.
Hey, wait a minute! You got to outbid me first.
Yeah.
You've got to pay for me cutting off monkey fingers.
In the news today, there's been news about a guy called Captain Tom who became really famous during lockdown in the UK for doing 100 laps of his garden with his Zimmer frame.
For the American viewers, mainly in Texas, he was like a wartime hero, 98 years old, and he captured the UK's imagination because he was basically trying to raise money for the NHS.
Yeah, was he not actually 100 or something? No, I can't remember.
He did live to get to 100, but he died soon after.
Right, and he raised tons of money for COVID charities, I think. A lot of the money that has been collected by this charity or the foundation that was set up in Captain Tom's memory has been secretly siphoned off by the family, and they've built this really nice big what they described as a sort of media room for collections and media publications on the in their garden, which then slowly added to it a swimming pool, sauna. They've basically been instructed to tear it down, and they've been found to be siphoning off a load of the money. So they didn't have planning permission for this spa swimming pool, but they had like urgent planning permission to build it as like a media relations kind of.
Oh, they had to build something.
Yeah, exactly, because of all the media attention.
Yeah.
So they had to build it in the first instance, and then it slowly got transformed into a swimming pool sauna.
So, like, it's such a shit twist on a such a great story, that, isn't it?
Yeah, I know.
Like, it fucks me off that there are people in the world that, like, something so great like that can happen. And, like, it's sad that, but, like, he would be turning in his grave to see that his family would be doing that.
I did hear, and I don't know if it's true.
Don't you say that he's turning in his grave.
that he died shortly after returning from holiday from Barbados, and I just think they've just got all this money and immediately lived the high life, haven't they? And then he dies after a holiday to Barbados.
Barbados that's not a cheap holiday, is it?
I know, especially at 100 years old.
Yeah.
Clearly, you start off a charity with all these great intentions, and then your eyes light up. Yeah. Apparently, as well, somebody told me recently that the Black Lives Matter charity has also been investigated and been found to be siphoning off millions and millions of dollars, the money that they raise, and all of the families involved in the production of that
You
charity.
think there'd be like regulatory kind of frameworks for it, wouldn't you? Like, say, like for instance, no more than 10% of the charitable income can go to wages. No more than 10% can go to marketing.
Yeah.
Basically, like, it guarantees a certain amount actually does go to their charity.
Yeah, and it
that's
should be like
audited.
90% or something, shouldn't it, really?
Or whatever, yeah.
Yeah. Whereas actually, I think if you can prove that like 10 or 20% goes towards charitable causes, that's enough to tick the box to state you're a charity.
Because I'm like the opposite. For me, I like go out of the way to make sure that the money is visibly seen to have gone to the fucking charity. Because like nothing scares me more than like somebody looking at me and going like, I mean, I know people do anyway, but not for this reason. You cunt. No, but seriously, because like for me, because I've recently raised some money for an animal charity. It was only like £600. We got a memorial bench built for my mum and raised some money. We matched the donations.
Nice.
But I was like making sure that it was really clear that the money did go to charity. And as it happens, my mum's best friend works for that charity. Like, she does volunteer work and has done for 25 years.
Yeah.
It's a shame that that mentality exists, because people that are genuinely trying to raise money for charity get tarnished with the same shit brush.
So do you think your mum's best friend is secretly building a swimming pool?
100%.
A paddling pool, maybe, with the
100%.
quid.
She wears like gold-plated diamond chains.
Does she? Yeah.
No. This is the headliner segment.
Ooh. Haven't we got a jingle for that?
A new jingle. Come on, Tom.
Extra! Read all about it.
It's the headliner.
The reverberation afterwards. I didn't get that bit.
Yeah, well, she was stood in a tunnel, apparently, when she said it.
Nice. Got the child.
Yeah.
Woman married to Eiffel Tower got divorced because she is now in love with a fence.
I like it.
AI-powered shoe claims to let people walk the same speed as running. 17-year-old scolded for crying over transgender woman's penis at YMCA.
Oh, they're all so good. Every time I was like, I want that one. No, I want that one. No, I want that one. Read the last one again for me, please.
17-year-old scolded for crying over transgender woman's penis at YMCA.
Yeah, I want that one.
Oh, that's a fucking mouthful. That. And that's just the penis. Right, okay. Yeah, I want that one. So those of you that don't know, we don't ever know the content of the article. We only ever know up front the title of the article.
Yeah, the headline.
Right. This is a New York Post, but it's also in the Daily Mail, so it sounds like this was global news.
Yeah.
Obviously. A Californian teen cried as she recalled seeing a naked man in her local YMCA. Telling the city council in her San Diego suburb she'd been traumatized by the experience with the person she described as a trans woman. Rebecca Phillips, 17, said she was... They always give the full fucking names, don't they? 17, says she was changing after swimming one day last month at the Santee YMCA. She spotted a naked trans woman in the changing rooms. As I was showering after my workout, I saw a naked male in the women's locker room, she told the Santee City Council. I immediately went back into the shower, terrified, and hid behind their flimsy excuse for a curtain until he was gone. Did she just gender shame him?
I guess so, yeah.
Phillips said the policy of allowing trans women in the female locker rooms should be changed, adding she was especially worried her 5-year-old sister could be exposed naked to trans women at the YMCA. And then one final thing is, this is the YMCA where hundreds of children spend their summer afternoons in childcare camps. Phillips added, this is the YMCA where my little sister took gymnastics lessons. The locker room was supposed to be her safe haven to gossip with her friends and shower and change.
She's got a point. I actually saw a video on TikTok recently of a transgender woman that used to be a man, and she looks like Peter Griffin. In a women's bathroom with an erection, like poking through a skirt.
I saw that. And it was like, oh yeah. So it was just a guy basically in women's changing rooms, massive erection.
Yeah.
Not even
big
trying to hide
stocky
it.
bloke. In a dress and a wig and glasses.
I heard something. I can't remember whether it was maybe swimming or running or something, but it was like the top 3,000 male athletes would beat the top 1 female athletes in a certain sport, whatever the sport was. can't remember what the sport was at the moment. Like, it might have been tennis or something like that. I don't know. But it's like, it just illustrates that there really is a difference.
Yeah.
Like a genetic difference between males and females. Well, is genetic difference is probably not the right word for it, but there's a physiological difference.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
We're reaching a very awkward stage, aren't we, when it comes to sports and mixing genders like that. I know this is on our list, but speaking of mixing genders, it's not even mixing genders, but in Forest,
Keep digging, mate.
Forest Green Football Club, their interim manager is a female.
Oh, I saw this.
Yeah. So their chairman, who's an absolute legend for various other reasons, which we've discussed in the past, he's very proud to say, we appointed her, not just because she's a woman and to break the news, but actually she was the most qualified coach in the whole club, and she deserves the job on the merits. So
yeah, but you would say that if you were
you would,
that. I mean, so, Yeah, speaking of taking people for a ride and robbery. Fuck's sake.
I've got a story about a taxi driver that steals off people.
Oh my God. Right, you're a burglar, but you can only steal things to slightly inconvenience victims.
Yeah.
What are you stealing?
I've got one thought that came, one memory that comes straight.
I know what you're going to say.
And I think you thought it would inconvenience us a lot more than it actually did, because we never actually replaced it, I don't think.
Did you not?
No.
Oh, yeah, the toilet
so
thing.
the toilet roll holder, the little rolling barrel in the middle that holds the bog roll and it moves around as you pull the paper down.
I remember specifically saying, oh, this would be great.
So you removed it from our house when we were students and you threw it away somewhere in a bin or something. My initial thought was exactly how you hoped it had gone, like, oh, that's going to be so annoying. But actually, the two prongs that stick out that hold the barrel are just the right size to put the bog roll on. I mean, it didn't really spin around as well, but you just unravel the bog roll.
Feels like a slight inconvenience.
Yeah, it was a very slight inconvenience. So I guess that ticks the box. And that would be my first option.
I'm going to say what I think, which I don't even know yet, but I'm going to think of something on the fly.
Okay.
And that's your time to really think about this, because I'm going to press you. We want something from you.
Okay.
All right?
Yeah.
Slightly inconvenience people. I'm going to remove people's window wipers from their cars.
Not the number plates.
Not the number plates. Not the number plates.
Okay, wait, I didn't realise we were including cars because they're not. I was thinking in the house.
Oh, burglar. Okay, yeah, okay, in the house. So I'm going to wax the floor of the house. So I'm going to steal the rough surface.
Stick that in your bag of swag and walk out. I've got your rough surface. And I've waxed it.
People are going to slip, aren't they? What have you got for me? What have you got for me?
I'm going to go, because I haven't got a dishwasher,
okay.
I'm going to go for the plug for the kitchen sink. Like, if you want to wash your dishes, you need to fill up the sink. I would fill up the sink. But if there's no plug...
Oh, because you haven't got a dishwasher?
Yeah, because I haven't got a dishwasher.
Oh, okay.
If the house did have a dishwasher, I'd pull off the power button. So they'd have to like poke it with a stick or something to turn it on.
Like a cocktail stick or something.
Exactly, okay. Yeah.
Wow, that took a weird turn. Speaking of weird
It does sound like quite a good game though, doesn't it?
Oh, yeah.
Speaking of enhanced games... There's this guy whose name is Aaron D'Souza. Someone described him as the exact person that LinkedIn was created for, in that he's like gone to a posh school, posh university, loads of career achievements, loads to show off about, loves being in the public limelight. Anyway, he's like an entrepreneur in London with a law degree from Oxford, I think, and he's made loads of money from all of his businesses and all this sort of stuff. He's decided to create, and I think he's properly pushing ahead with this, an enhanced Olympic Games for athletes that are juiced up on performance-enhancing drugs. Ooh. So instead of saying it's completely banned, what he's saying is you take whatever you want, push yourself to the absolute limits, and we'll see who's the best.
Obviously, someone's going to die at some point. From this,
that's the main concern. And he's like, well, that's your fault. It's we're just saying you can take whatever you want and you won't be tested for it. I like it. You push yourself.
What if none of the times and jumps and whatever else are any better?
Yeah. Or on the other hand, what if they're like huge and they're like, bloody hell, humans are actually capable of this if you take the right drugs?
I would watch that.
I think I would watch it as well. My one sort of, just to bring it back down to normality, is you're essentially not a human competing anymore, are you? You're just basically a container for drugs, and whichever drugs are the most effective are going to be the winner. It's not really about human spirit, human training.
I think I agree, because like if you do have a container, how much of the natural ability does then push through? Is it like 5%, 0%, 90%?
Yeah. And all the athletes afterwards, are they all going to go, oh, I've worked so hard for this, pushed myself to these limits.
I was taking so much drugs for this. It was very tough at one point.
Yeah. So I think I would watch it out of intrigue, but it's more of like maybe a freak show rather than human in spirit and endeavour.
Humans have always been obsessed with some form of freak shows. This is why circuses exist. What's the plural of circi, isn't it?
Yeah, circums.
Speaking of circums, Leche de Capri. Goat string. Actually, we've got a bit left. Let's do it. The threads in this are great. See, when you said that, actually, the enhanced games, I immediately thought of mechanically enhanced. So they were going to do games where you could wear like things that...
AI shoes that make you walk, run the speed of walking.
Oh, we've got to look that up. Somebody who listens to this podcast will look that up and very much enjoy it. We'll probably forget about it.
Yeah, we will. Certainly will, yeah.
Cheers and drink.
Tell you what.
It does taste more like jizz when you think about
Does,
jizz.
it really does. But saying that, it would go well with a pie. Speaking of pies, that brings us on to pork scratchings, and our topic today is P.I.E. So what I want to tell you about today is not actually pies. Okay. Oh, let's just introduce pork scratchings a little bit first for those that don't know. Pork scratchings is our segment where we bring something interesting to the table that you won't know about, and it's the sort of thing that you could tell your mates over in the pub with a packet of pork scratchings and say, oh, by the way, did you know about this?
And for the American viewers, what's a pork scratching?
It's like the bits of skin or fat from
they call
pigs.
It crackling?
Crackling. They do call it that, don't
Is
they?
that the translation?
Yeah, and it's rank, and sometimes it's got hairs sticking in it, and it's deep fried.
So
and
good.
Ugh. Anyway, if you like pork scratchings, get yourself a packet. And next time you're down the pub, tell your mates about this. It's interesting. So P.I.E. in England stood for the Paedophile Information Exchange.
Wow, that took a fucking turn. I did not expect.
Ready for that, were you? So the Paedophile Information Exchange was a British pro-paedophile activist group. Pro-paedophile activist group founded in 1974, and it lasted for 10 years until they disbanded in 1984. So the pro...
That was the glory years for paedophiles, wasn't it?
It was, yeah.
Sorry,
10 years.
I'm cutting you off there, but
yeah.
What it really was, that period in the UK was like, that's where they all...
The golden decade of pedos.
Yeah.
So they campaigned for the abolition of the age of consent, and they were described by the BBC as an internal organisation of people who trade in obscene material. At its peak, the P.I.E. had 250 members, which lasted for 4 years from 77 to 81. And then in 78 and 79, they surveyed their members and found that most were attracted to girls aged 8 to 11. And boys aged 11 to 15. So they campaigned for the government to focus their attention on sexual activities in which consent is not given, and argued that there should be no age restrictions about consent. The final thing to notice is, to be aware of, in March 2014, it was uncovered that the P.I.E. had actually received government grants totaling £70,000. So they received two 35,000 government grants, one in 77 under the Labour government, a guy called James Callaghan, and one in 1980 under Margaret Thatcher.
Wow. So both the Conservatives and the Labour were guilty.
Yeah.
That is fascinating. What a weird ONS statistics that was about the age group. I mean, how are they canvassing that?
I know, yeah. Well,
the ages that they prefer.
Yeah. Just to make clear what their argument was to say you should focus the law on sexual activity where no consent is given. So that could be any age. And actually, if a 11 or 15-year-old child gives their consent to have sexual activity with an adult, that should be allowed. I mean, obviously, some pretty weird people are trying to influence.
I agree, but I do find it very weird that literally one day can make the difference between you being sent to prison and not.
Yeah, that's true.
Literally, in a very literal sense. But I mean, you've got to draw the line somewhere, haven't you? So it's like you can't really.
Yeah.
No, that is crazy. I mean, what a great name as well, P.I.E.
I know. Oh, you know what? I meant to wear my T-shirt that says "Choose Pies."
Do you know? My wife. So that T-shirt was from. Was it Melbourne?
No, it was the Lancashire Hot Pots.
Lancashire Hot Pots. Yeah, we got the merch that said "Choose Pies" in big.
Yeah, it's like the Choose Life T-shirt.
Oh shit! Now that gives a very different meaning to that T-shirt.
It does, doesn't it? I meant to wear it tonight.
My wife has nabbed off with it. I wonder if she was a member of the Pie Society. She wasn't born at that time, but still.
Yeah. Luckily, they disbanded before we were born, so we should be safe, hopefully.
Flipping heck. That is, it is fascinating, but it's kind of frightening though, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it's amazing that back then, clearly, paedophilia wasn't such a disgusting topic as it is now. Like, it was actually, there was room for debate about whether there should be an age of consent.
Yeah.
Which is mental.
I just think it comes down to, like, on average, what is like the state at which your brain is fully formed enough to be properly informed.
Yeah,
like,
6.
6. I'm sure they say something like, because Gemma studied some neurology stuff in a psychology master's degree that she did. It was something along the lines of the brain's not fully developed until you're like 25. I mean, I'm not suggesting we should raise the age to 25 because, you know, that would be bad.
Yeah.
For 17-year-olds.
Yeah, it would, yeah.
Ashes and poncho is on the list. I'm going to let you deal with this.
Tell you what, the Australians, the British got very mad. The English playing against Australia in a cricket competition called the Ashes. It takes place over 5 matches, and each match lasts up to 5 days.
So it's always England and it's always Australia.
Yeah.
Is it every 4 years or something?
It's every 2 years. So 2 years it'll be in England, then 2 years time it'll be in Australia, and then back in England.
The trophy is like the smallest trophy in the world, isn't it?
It's a tiny little urn, and basically the history of the Ashes is that one year the Australian press wrote about the death. They wrote an obituary for the death of English cricket because English cricket got so bad.
Right.
And then those ashes, when they burnt that paper, or the stumps, I think they burnt them and put them into ashes into a tiny little urn. And they said, here's the death of English cricket.
Wow, that's a great story. I did not know that.
Yeah, so
that could well easily be a pork scratching.
So every 2 years now they compete for the Ashes, and this year it's in England. And there was a really controversial moment where they have this thing in cricket called the spirit of the game, where even though you're staying within the laws, you should also just not be a knobhead. And there was one bit where the batsman was stood out of his...
I saw this.
Past his line where he's supposed to stay in, and he'd walked a few steps out.
He'd not really ran to get a run. He just wandered out a few times.
Because he thought like there was a break in the game and walked out beyond his crease, and then the Australians got him out by hitting the stumps.
Did he throw it there on purpose? I felt like, because it almost looked like he just threw it underarm in the direction.
No, it was a deliberate attempt to get him out, and then when it hit the stumps, they all celebrated and said, you're out. And then the British were like, hang on a minute, that's not in the spirit of the game. And the Aussies were like, well, that's in the laws of the game. And the umpire obviously plays by the laws, and the umpire says, yeah, you're out. And so the English have been really mad about that. There was also a rain delay in one of the games, and it reminded me of one of the best pranks I've ever done that never paid off. Oh. And it was a trip to the Formula One.
Can we just, first of all, just to lay the background here, Salmon is the original prankster. He will find a prank where you didn't even think a prank existed. I remember, I always say this one, I'm sorry you've heard it 1,000 times. When I was living with you at university, where I would put a pizza in the oven, go upstairs, do my thing, chill out, whatever, excited about eating my pizza, fucking £1, £2 shady like Asda pizza, like Walmart pizza.
Yeah.
Come back down and the pizza isn't cooked because 30 seconds after I'd walked off, Salmon's turned off the oven. And that's the sort of thing, harmless pranks.
Yeah.
Very inconvenient pranks.
Yeah, exactly. And so we were going to watch the Formula One in Belgium, and the forecast was for a bit of rain. And I said to the lads, I found a shop here that's selling plastic ponchos for like £2. Should I get us all one? And everyone was like, yeah, get me one. So I bought everyone ponchos. I allocated in my mind certain colours, like which one would be mine and which one would be everyone else's. And then I unpacked, there was 4 of us, so I unpacked 3 of them. They were tightly packed in these tiny little plastic packages. Unfolded them all and drew massive cocks on them. And then folded them all back up and restapled them closed.
And it never rained.
And handed out the ponchos, and it never rained the whole time. I was devastated.
Mate.
And I was watching the cricket, and it started raining, and all the crowd were putting their ponchos on. I was like, oh, it just kicks me. It just rubs salt in the wound. That
is such a great...
Devastated.
I feel like that's a great comedy sketch. If you could flesh that out, that's a great comedy sketch. Speaking of comedy sketches... Man United have just paid 55 million for Mason Mount.
Yeah.
And gave him the number 7 shirt.
That's what really hurts me, is the fact they're giving him the number 7 shirt. Like, I don't mind the fact that Man United have signed a player that they've identified as somebody who fits into their plan, somebody who's like quite high pressing, high energy. He's not a bad player, but he's not great.
He had 1 year left on his contract, right?
Yeah.
So 55 million for any player that's got 1 year is expensive. But
Yeah.
he is also not particularly that good.
No,
he's
not
all right.
great.
He's all right.
He's I'd say like above average. Like
Yeah.
he gets into the England team every so often. The fact that Man United have given him the number 7 shirt is what really hurts, because it suggests that the scouts or the management think that they've bought a world superstar, because the number 7 shirt at Man United is, until the last 5-6 years or so, has been held by a world-class superstar. You know, it's always been Ronaldo, David Beckham, George Best, Eric Cantona, Brian Robson. It's always been these absolute heroes.
And now it's Mason Mount.
And it's just devastating. It's
he must be absolutely smitten with himself.
And what hurts as well is the fact that he's been playing for Chelsea since he was like 4 years old.
Yeah.
You know, he's gone up through every single age, and he's born and bred Chelsea. He comes to Man United for a massive pay increase and a bit of a challenge in his career, and he's instantly given the number 7 shirt, having done nothing to achieve it. Like,
he's still quite young, isn't he? So he could have earned that shirt.
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah, if he was that good.
Years.
Yeah,
we've got Declan Rice. I mean, this is just bananas.
105 million. I think
105 million to from West Ham, who. They're a selling club, aren't they, West Ham? They just fucking sell all the good players.
Yeah.
Into, where's he gone?
Arsenal,
who
looked like they were going to win the league last year, had a couple of injuries to some midfielders and defenders.
Sounds like you make an excuse. They always bottle it.
Yeah.
They do always bottle it.
And actually, someone like Declan Rice is a sort of player that Arsenal fans have been crying out for years, saying this is all we need and we'll be good again, you know. And they've now got him. I don't think they're going to have such a big lead over City like they did last year. So
no, I do rate Declan Rice more than Mason Mount, because they're quite similar players, aren't they?
Yeah. Rice is a bit more defensive, but he can go forward as well, actually.
And I think he's a good signing for Arsenal, but at that price, again, it's just outrageous. This is just a sign of like English players that are way overinflated with price. I remember when Liverpool, I'm a Liverpool fan, Liverpool signed Henderson for like 28 million maybe 10 years ago, and he eventually came like kind of good. Like still not an incredible player, but like he's been worth the price tag, but only really because he stayed the distance. I mean, he was a rip-off. The first 3 years at us, he was shit. He never got a game. But yeah, Declan Rice I can see, but I guess he had more than 1 year left on his contract for 100 million, right?
Probably, I think so.
I saw an advert, and I think it was a Nike advert or something, and this really bugged me. At the end of the advert, it's just all different people talking about Declan Rice coming up through the rankings and he's a great player and all the rest of it. And the last phrase, as it's blackening out the end of the advert, is he's the best player in the world.
Oh God.
I was like, what? Messi, fucking Steve Gerrard.
Oh dear. Well, Liverpool, you'll be pleased to have made some good signings, haven't they? Two new midfielders, which is probably all they needed, really. The keeper's quality, defence is still pretty good.
Matt McAllister on the left probably replaces Mane. I don't think he's as good as Mane, but he at least gives that kind of replacement. Given that we've got Gakpo, who can play up front.
They've got loads of forwards now, Liverpool.
And this he scores goals, doesn't he? I'm not going to pronounce his name. It's Dominic something or other.
Sosbolai or something.
Yeah.
We've written Sosboz, but
Sosboz.
Sosbolai.
We did actually, like, true story, we did actually pop this into Google earlier and press the voice button.
Yeah.
And we still can't fucking remember how it's pronounced. But I mean, he gets goals.
Yeah, he's supposed to be very, very good.
I mean, he's still quite young, so big guy.
I think Liverpool are actually going to compete top 3, I reckon, next season.
No, I'm not convinced that. I'd be surprised if we're top 6.
I feel like they've had a rest last season. They're going to come back all firing this season.
We are a bit like that, yeah.
And Trent Alexander-Arnold has gone from like a normal right back who loves attacking to a kind of new role where he kind of drifts into centre midfield and starts pinging all these through balls through, which I think is going to be a key feature next season, I think.
Also, City have offloaded. Can you say they've offloaded, or did he just go on a free?
I think he went on a free, He just kind of peaked, didn't he? Like, lived the dream at City and thought, I can't get any better than this.
Yeah.
I might as well go and spend a few years in sunny Spain.
I really rate him.
It's brilliant. Yeah, really good.
Yeah, I think he's going to do very well at Barcelona. I think he could be there for. He's quite old though, isn't he?
Yeah.
Not old, but he's not going to have like a 15-year career.
No,
at Barca.
I guess 31 maybe.
Yeah, but I think in those 4 or 5 years of play there, I think he'll do very well.
Yeah,
and
I think so.
Capture the imagination. So
Barca have done well there.
Speaking of people with great imaginations, Gary Neville is going to be on Dragon's Den.
Dragon's Den. We thought it was like a permanent transfer, didn't we? But actually, he's going to be on a one-off special edition or something.
I don't know if it's a one-off, but it is at least a special guest capacity.
Okay.
So it might be multiple episodes as a special guest.
Yeah.
Or one episode as a special guest.
That'd be good to watch. I quite like Gary Neville when he gives reasons for things, and I think he'll be quite good at analysing people's businesses and giving his views on it.
I used to fucking hate Gary Neville with a passion.
Yeah.
Right? He was like top most hated people.
Well, you are a Liverpool fan.
Yeah, well, fair, but there's just something about him when he was a United player that it just... I'm sure United fans have this same thing about Carragher. Rat-faced, annoying
horrible.
cunt.
Yeah.
However, since leaving and stopped playing football, he's quite neutral, relatively neutral.
Yeah.
And great analysis, wonderful pundit, smart fella, and he's a bit of a lefty, isn't he?
Yeah, he is. Yeah, John Labour Party officially.
Yeah. And I think a combination of all of those things, plus being a pretty good businessman, be nice to see what he does on Dragon's Den. And I agree with you that when he's explaining through the reasons for things, it makes for interesting listening.
Yeah, you were showing me an amazing building in Vegas.
Yes. Yeah, moving swiftly on. Speaking of buildings.
Speaking of buildings.
In cities.
Yeah.
The MSG Sphere in Las Vegas has been under construction. This thing seems to have come out of nowhere. It's almost like it's just been built in like 3 months or something like that. Right. And it's a 300 feet wide spherical structure in Las Vegas. It's kind of quite central on the strip as well. If you know Vegas, it's near the Aria and it's near the what's the one that's in Casino where they rob it? The Bellagio.
Okay, yeah.
And it's just this ginormous LED ball. And
so you showed me photos and videos of it, and actually like the whole ball can be used as a big screen to like advertise or do anything. And like there was one that you showed me, kind of like it opened up and it looked like you could see inside or something. And it was incredible.
Like it was the moon, then it was the earth, and it was fireworks and all kinds of stuff. And it's quite an amazing feat of engineering, but it's kind of sad that can happen. And don't get me wrong, it's made like world news and stuff.
Yeah.
But something like that can be made, which is an incredible feat of engineering, but it sort of flies on the radar a little bit.
Yeah, we've not really heard much about it over here, have we?
On this podcast, mate.
No, you hear
fly
it here.
on the radar.
Yeah, absolutely.
So this is the end of the podcast, but I did want to end on a high by asking you, hopefully it's a high, I mean, no pressure.
Okay.
What would you put in the ball?
If I was owning a business or if it was my dream, like
I want two answers now.
Okay. if it was a business, you just got to say it would be most incredible casino ever. Like, but with like
no, I mean on the
outside.
LEDs.
Oh right.
Sorry, yeah.
Okay.
What would you put on the LEDs on the outside of the ball?
The electric honk logo.
Great answer.
Maybe some of our TikToks promoting our podcast.
Okay, and if you were if you weren't a businessman, because obviously that's the businessman one.
Loads of geese. I think just geese flying around in circles.
Nice.
Just to send that subliminal message of geese, and then people will be like, "Oh, there's a goose podcast."
And they probably think, "Oh, geese, peace and love," but they're not peaceful, are they?
They are. They are. What
Any
would you put on
breed?
You start off Canadian, I think.
Not the nenes.
Oh yeah, it would work towards them. I think I'd change it. I'd change it every day.
Shades of geese.
50 Shades of Geese.
I've thought about this in great detail. I would just love to have. Do you know when you grab your one bollock in your hand and squeeze it, and it goes all red, and then the hair's kind of, and it goes a bit red and looks bigger than it is.
I know that well. Yeah.
Yeah. Probably that.
That would
Just
be great. Yeah.
Huge bollock.
And then some millionaire would be like, it needs a second bollock next to it. I'm going to build another one.
That'd be if I was a businessman, but if I was doing it for pleasure. Yeah, I think it'd be nice to see some sort of mural to like Salah.
Oh right, yeah,
that'd be cool.
Yeah, okay, you're a big Salah fan.
Yeah.
Inside, I reckon what I would love is, remember that Nike advert of a cage football?
Yogo Benito.
Yeah, with Eric Cantona as the referee on top, walking around. I'd have that inside.
Nice.
Indoor cage football.
Yeah, I mean, the size of the thing, you could probably have fucking 10 of them.
Yeah, exactly,
like
Sports like loads of pitches inside. It'd be incredible.
Yeah. Well, on that note, speaking of pitches... I will pitch to you to go and follow us on Threads, which we haven't set our account up yet.
Which we will do.
We have been Machine Daena
And Andrew Salmon, Coronation Street Extra.
and this has been the Electric Honk Podcast.
It has.
Thanks for listening.
Good
Take
evening.
care.
Bye.
Bye.